Today we are looking at how to classify soil and defining what actually makes a soil healthy or fertile. There are some simple tests that you can buy at a garden center to make sure that your soil has the correct nutrients for what you are trying to grow. Remember that these nutrients can come from both natural and man-made inputs. And not all fertilizer is the same, depending on whether you are trying to feed the plant or the actual soil itself. Oh man, not this guy again. Why did the farmer bury all of his money? Now, the important nutrients that keep our soil fertile are part of the biogeochemical cycles. So, as this comic implies, yes, matter such as nitrogen keeps cycling back and forth between the abiota and the biota. But there is an easy way to remember the other main important nutrients of fertile soil.
It's gonna be legend. Wait for it. And I hope you're not lactose intolerant because the second half of that word is dairy. No. Legendary.
Legendary? That sounds awesome.
No.
That's right. Barney Stinson, aka Doogie Howser, MD. But his real name is Neil Patrick Harris. All right, it's close enough. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. NPK, Neil Patrick Harris. If you look at a bag of fertilizer, you will see a 3-number formula that corresponds to NPK. You can see on this bag that it even tells you what each ingredient is responsible for in terms of helping the plant. Fertilizer manufacturers can increase or decrease the amount of any of the 3 main nutrients. This allows them to make many different fertilizers that can be targeted for specific plants or specific climates. This particular bag has an increased amount of potassium. It's designed for Florida soils and particularly lawns. Potassium helps protect against drought, and in Florida the topsoil is very thin and they have a rich, deep subsoil that is made mostly of clay. This fertilizer helps alleviate those conditions. Fertilizer often runs off of land and becomes non-point source pollution. It is very important to follow the instructions on the bag in terms of how much to put down. In fact, most people way over fertilize. Many fertilizers are now going with reduced amounts of nitrogen or absolutely phosphate-free. We are not going to take the time in this lecture to get into why lawns are so negative for the environment, but I want you to now be aware going into the future that these numbers on the side of the fertilizer bag actually mean something and can impact the environment around us. Besides nutrient analysis, another simple test that can help classify a soil is to calculate its pH. The pH scale measures how acidic or basic a substance is. The pH scale ranges from 0 to 14. A pH of 7 is neutral. Less than 7 is acidic, and greater than 7 is basic. The pH scale is logarithmic, which means that each change from one number to the next is tenfold. For example, a 6 is 10 times more basic than a 5. But what the number actually represents is the concentration of free hydrogen ions in the solution. You can see this is an inverse relationship, with a pH of 0 or 1 having the most hydrogen ions. Let's look at an old AP question to see if we now understand this. The concentration of hydrogen ions in a solution with a pH value of 4 is how many times as great as the concentration of hydrogen ions in a solution with a pH value of 7. You can see the answer choices on the screen, and 4 and 7 are 3 apart, and so that would be a factor of 10 times 10 times 10. So our correct answer is D, 1000. To do the actual test, we have to make what is called a slurry. And usually this involves simply mixing a little bit of topsoil with a certain amount of distilled water. You mix vigorously, and then you are ready to test the solution. One of the reasons that soil can change pH is because of acid rain, which I am going to cover in our air pollution chapter. But I think we have enough information to already answer this old AP question as well. Approximately how many more times acidic in terms of hydrogen concentration is precipitation in the northeastern US as compared to precipitation in the South Pacific? Now, understanding that the pH scale is logarithmic, it would be really extreme if our rain was able to vary by more than one number. So the only logical answer that works here is it could be off by a factor of about 10. Hopefully you chose C. Well, it turns out I misspoke at the start of the video. I have decided to save one more topic as this video started to get a little bit long, and we will go ahead and finish that up in its own video tomorrow. So yay, you get to hear my lovely voice on Wednesday as well. See you then.
I mean, was I disappointed? Maybe.